All right, guys, we are here just to paint a picture for you. It's late at night here in America. I say that for a reason. It's about 10:30 at night. Um, just got done bowling, and we finally got a set time we can get this done. And she was gracious enough to want to come on, and so we're just gonna do this. We met on a support group on Facebook, and kind of we got a hold of each other, and she seemed like she was very interested in telling her story. And again, I'm open to anybody who just wants to be honest and has a message, who wants to just help people, because we need more of that, just to wake up to people and what it is that people go through, no matter what it is. So yes, we are. You want to tell us, your name, where you're from, and kind of a little bit about
hmm
yourself.
Yeah, hi, my name's Debbie. I live in Brisbane, Australia, and it's, I think, about 1 p.m. in the afternoon here, so quite a different time schedule.
And it's Saturday.
And it's Saturday, yes.
And it's Friday
yeah,
here.
yes, and we had allocated the time for Friday, so yesterday I'm thinking, I don't know what time I'm supposed to be having this chat, but anyway, yeah,
Yes.
that's all cool. I have plenty of time sitting around doing not too much these days. So yeah, I have trigeminal neuralgia atypical, which I've had for 15 years. Basically, that's the trigeminal nerve supplies all the feelings in your face. It has one branch that goes over to your sort of like your eyebrow area, and one on your cheek and one on your jaw. So sometimes people have problems with one of those. They call them like V1, V2, V3. Sometimes people have problems with, say, V3, which is the jaw one, which causes massive problems for people not being able to chew their food and all sorts of things like that. My trigeminal neuralgia is atypical, as I said, which means it's not caused by a blood vessel and the trigeminal nerve coming into contact. That's typical trigeminal neuralgia. So it comes up on the MRI. Your neurosurgeon can show you. You can see the blood vessel. It's wrapped around the TN, or it's squashing it, or something's. You can see it, and there is surgery for that. I've had the pain for 15 years, and there's no reason for my pain. There's nothing to be found anyway. They can do exploratory surgery, but like that involves cutting into your skull and going in and having a look and seeing what's going on. Sometimes the nerve can be a bit bent, or it can be twisted, and they do this, what they call combing. But it's a big risk to have that sort of surgery, you can imagine. They then, when they finish doing that, they put a plate and 2 screws over the hole. And the lovely folks on the trigeminal support group that I'm on, it's an Australian New Zealand one. People are having that MVD, microvascular decompression surgery, and they post the pictures of their scars, and they basically start from the top of the ear and run right down behind the ear to the bottom of where your neck starts.
Mm-hmm.
And people have all sorts of problems with that scar, just after the operation. Because of the operation, it just causes problems in itself. So I'm not going to risk having a doctor go in and just do exploratory surgery.
Yeah.
I've managed it for this amount of time, and my pain has reduced since I've had trigeminal neuralgia. I used to have it really bad, where the whole side of my head was in pain, and it would hurt to move my head. And the only thing I could do was take heavy painkillers and sleep. But I'm living a pretty pretty normal life as far as like I'm going to the gym a few days a week. I don't know how I'm going to be each morning, so I'm not a reliable person to employ. So I used to be a primary school teacher and a teacher librarian. I had a beautiful job, but yeah, it all became just too much.
Yeah, we talked about that off air before we got on. It's the wackiest thing about having something that fluctuates like a disability, because when you could go to bed and you just have a good day for us is still a bad day for the average person. But we go to bed and we're just like, oh, great day. And then we wake up the next day and it's like just something. It's like, did someone just shake me? Like what happened in them? Like I look at my cat and I'm like, did you do something? Like what happened to me overnight? Like, you're supposed to sleep and then you're supposed to heal. Why am I worse overnight? It's and it's really disheartening because and then when you have, and I'm sure you've dealt with this, but if you have so many bad days in a row, you just feel like this is your normal, and then and then you are constantly stressed and you're praying for a good day, and then you have a couple good days in a row and then you start to kind of forget about the bad days and you kind of you lose track of that, and you should be grateful, and you do eventually, but sometimes you're just like, okay, this is my new normal, and you just go back and forth with you playing these mind games of like, oh no, this is my life is gonna suck more, and oh now it's better, and now it's worse, and you just don't know how to act sometimes. It's really infuriating.
That is so true. That is just so true. And for me, it's not even like a day. Like I can be fine in the morning, and then by 1 p.m., oh my God, I got to go to bed. My head's just a wreck. And if I make plans, I have girlfriends who I make plans with, and they always know that there's a chance that I'm not going to be there because I can't go out when my head is like that. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
And that's just life. Yeah.
Yeah, you miss
half
out
a day.
on things.
Yeah.
It takes away from your
you
independence, and there's times where you're just like, oh, I have bowling planned tonight, and then my eyes just start really blurring up more than they already are, and I'm like, I can't. I could do it, but I'm not going to do this to myself. I don't want to struggle more. I don't want to give myself a headache and all these other things. I'm like, I'm just staying home. And but then that affects your mental health, because then you're like, oh my God, like even like you just can't live, and you just start beating yourself up internally, and you're like, nah, man. But I just your bed in your house is your comfort zone. Like no matter how much you're struggling and hurting, you feel like you can always be yourself, and you feel like you can yell and cry and punch. So it's just better to just deal with that. And I don't know about you, but for me,
totally,
I'm not a person that likes to take my pain out on people, and I mean emotional or physical. So I tend to hold, I do wear my emotions on my sleeve. People know when I'm bothered, but I don't like to act out and just be reactionary and take anything out of other people. So a lot of times I just wait till I get home, and that's when I just deal with whatever it is, whatever overtakes me, I let it take me when I'm home.
Yeah. And you need to be in that home space, I find, because like I don't feel like when I'm unwell, when my head pain starts ramping up, for example, like say I'm out and my head pain starts ramping up, I'm like, I got to get home. I just got to get home so that I can just go to bed and just be in my own space and not have to do anything or say anything or talk to anybody.
Now the flip side to that though is that's where your demons sleep too, because your mental demons will just come in and they're like, hey, welcome home, and you're like, shit, like you're like, really, come on, man, this is my safe space, and it's like, no, we live here too. Don't just whereas like if you were out, a lot of times you can be distracted and you can do things, and you're just like, okay, you guys, and it's like as soon as you open that door, they're just sitting at the top of the steps like, hey, welcome home, remember we told you suck, and you're like, oh man, I just want to get in the shower, eat dinner, and pet my cat, and it's like, nope, now I suck.
That's where my audiobooks, I find they really help me, they really help me turn everything off.
Sure.
And so I don't go down those black tunnels. I can just, just go into another world. I just love books so much, and I find I don't have the energy to read like I used to. So an audio book, I just go into that world, and I escape everything basically, and
right.
That's great because sometimes that's the only way to deal with the way I'm feeling and how crap I'm feeling. Yeah.
Now, do you use so we're talking about having good days and bad days, and you were saying that sometimes your good days is like a half a day. So when your health is being productive and it's not being necessarily a nuisance or a barrier, have you found in those times you can try yourself to be more productive? Like, you don't let a week go by to do your dishes. You're like, okay, I feel good right now. I'm doing my dishes. I'm making the calls I need to do because I know in 4 hours I'm going to feel like crap. I need to do it now or I'm going to run out of time and it'll never get done.
Yes, I do. I'm really productive in the first half of the day, and it's then I'll get to the gym, and that really energizes me. And then on the way home from the gym, I'll go to the grocery store and get what I need in food wise, and then I'm usually home. I try not to be out after lunchtime because that's the time that it can hit. So I try to be productive in the mornings, and then get home, and then if it doesn't hit, well, that's great. Then I can do a few extra things. Right. I often find cooking dinner is a real issue because if I've had pain, like from say midday, and I've gone to taken heavy pills and gone to sleep, and then I've got to get up, and my husband comes home, and I want to make dinner and do all that sort of stuff, and so sometimes I even make dinner in the earlier part of the day so that all I have to do is like heat it up or put it in the oven or something like easy rather than like chop vegetables and, stand over a pot for, half an hour or whatever. Yeah. So that's sort of how I plan in case I'm going to be crap in the afternoon.
But it's taught you like gratitude because instead of sitting around and honing on the fact that like, oh, my days are only like in halves, like I only like my life sucks, and you're actually going, okay, at least for 6 hours or whatever it is, I can be normal or whatever you want to call it, and I can do everything I need to do. And you're not, and I'm sure you have your down days where you're like, really, like,
where I don't do anything, yes.
Yeah, and you don't know what to plan for and all that. But, it has definitely taught you gratitude because you're grateful that you do have those 8 hours or however much time you have. And so it's...
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Because I think so many of us sometimes we tend, especially when we're in the early stages of like grieving and understanding and all that, we go through this process where we are, whatever, we look at God or whoever and we're just like, you know what, like, why did you curse me? And we're shameful of our conditions and why did you make us this like freak or some whatever unorthodox looking thing? And why do I have to endure this when I see everyone else having fun and partying? And but eventually, if you can tap into your superpower and you can understand why you're dealing with this and what it is, like you're able to come on the other side of it and be grateful, and just because it humbles you. Like every day, there's not a day, I'm sure for you, there's not a day goes by where you go, oh, I'm too good for all this. Like because that pain kicks in, and you're like, oh yeah, you again. Like,
yeah, but like it's 15 years of dealing with this pain. Wow, like the first 3 years, I don't think I could even talk about it without being a blubbering, crying mess.
Sure.
I was such a mess because I just did not want to accept that this was my life, that I was going to live with this pain. I remember one time just like screaming, going, no way, this is not me. This is not me. I am not going to be like this. I am not going to have this in my life. And and I had to accept, well, sorry, but this is your life. And this pain is hanging around, so you better learn to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's another, I think that's another phase we go through where, let's say the God thing, where we tend to think, okay, why'd you give us this? And then we go to, all right, now we'll pray it away. And then when it doesn't go away, then it's like, oh, God is not real, or God is evil, or whatever. And it's like, no, man, maybe there's a reason why you have this. I'm not saying it's all going to be explained to you, but at some point it'll slowly unravel, and maybe you will understand. And maybe still it's unfair, and maybe still you won't have the answers when your life is all over. But you still will be grateful, and you still will learn to live with it and accept yourself. And that stage where you're just kind of on a warpath, and you're just completely beating yourself up, and you just look at yourself like how some people say, like, you just look at yourself as broken, and you don't have any self-worth, and
that's a horrible period.
Yeah, it is. It's
very
really hard.
Yeah. It's a really horrible period.
Yeah.
Those first few years.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it was very much about where is this pain coming from, because they could find no reason for my pain. And like, to me, that just like, I never heard of that. I thought, well, if you've got pain this serious, there must be something seriously wrong.
Sure.
And doctors did suggest, oh, we think it's this protruding disc in your neck, so we're going to take that out. So they took that out and put a spacer in, and nothing changed. And I said, well, that wasn't the reason I've got this pain, was it? Like, so why? Yeah, I did spend many years trying to find why I had this pain. And then eventually doctors just said, we don't know why. When a neurosurgeon says to you, we don't know why you have this pain, but I'm sorry that you have. So
yeah,
that's, I always thought, like, before I started living with chronic pain, I always thought there had to be a reason for pain this severe. I thought, yeah, am I dying or something, or what, have I got a brain tumor or what? Yeah,
because you go to the worst case scenario, because the doctors aren't giving you answers. And I don't know what you call it over there, maybe be the same thing, but we have this thing here in the US called a diagnostic that we can plug into a car, and it shows you exactly what's wrong with the car. So it'll show you that you have a flat tire or whatever, your engine's busted. Like, that's what I wish we had for humans. Like, we could just plug ourselves into something or whatever, take something, and it goes into your body, and it goes, do. Okay, you have liver cancer or whatever. You have a brain tumor, and this is how you fix it. Because it's like, it's so infuriating. Mine was a very obvious thing. Well, actually, no, mine wasn't, because I took medication and for an ear infection, and it then started causing all my skin to burn off, my hair and teeth and everything. And they were like, at first they were like, this is chicken pox. And of course it wasn't chicken pox. And it was a higher reaction to medication, in this case, amoxicillin. And it's like, again, all these misdiagnoses, it causes more time to go by and more damage. And then, but they're, like you're going through life just going, what is wrong with me? And they're just like, take an Advil, or maybe it's this, and we'll remove this, like you're like some science project. And it's like, I might need that. It's like, maybe if we didn't take that out, maybe we just caused a new problem.
Yes, exactly.
What, like, I just want you to know what you're talking about, because I don't. I didn't go to school for this. I don't get paid for this. I just want you to help my problem. And a lot of times, and I know doctors sometimes get bad raps because they do save people, and there are miracles and just great people doing amazing things. I'm well aware of that, but it's just, we go through so many. I mean, it seems like there's a trillion doctors, but it's like, it seems like there's like 20 of them that know what they're doing. And I'm not saying that is actually the case, but that's how it feels. It seems like you need to have the top 20 doctor of that, particular body part, that
Yeah.
particular specialist in order, and
Yeah.
you may have to go to Germany or whoever
Well,
to get them,
yeah, exactly.
and that
Yeah, that's
sucks.
it. Yeah, just that. like since I've started getting pudendal neuralgia, I met this woman. Her name is Katie Hart, and Hark actually, and she has a lovely Instagram page, and she saw 32 doctors within I don't know whether it was 18 months. Nobody could help her. She had 2 MRI. She had such excruciating pain that she would black out and fall onto the ground.
Jesus.
And she had 2 MRIs in Brisbane, and they both came back saying, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with you." And she's an orthopedic nurse, and she said, "Sorry, there is something really wrong with me." And she ended up going she lives in Brisbane as well, or near Brisbane. She ended up going to Sydney, and where they have this big specialist centre that deals with all the women's pelvic issues, and saw this professor who said, "You need to have this 3T MRI with this doctor who can analyse it properly."
Sure.
And she had that, and she found out that she had bilateral pudendal nerve entrapment, and she's in Austria at the moment because she's just had the operation to get these nerves, stop them from being entrapped, which is a serious operation. They cut into your buttocks. So she's had double buttocks cutting into to get to the nerve, and the doctor got in there and fixed them up, hopefully. So, like exactly, you might have to leave your home and go all over the way to Austria to find a doctor who can help you. And you just think that's just crazy. Like, haven't we come further than that? Like, I live in Australia. Surely it's not that much of a backwater that we have to go to Austria for an operation, but obviously, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And that's scary. It's like, oh my God, she's had to spend a lot of money. You can imagine how much money it's cost to go over to Austria to have an operation with a special surgeon over there.
Sure. Yeah. I've heard so many freak stories too of doctors doing these operations, maybe not the best doctor, but just doctor, and then screwing it up. Some people have worse conditions, like I've heard a lot of the horrible stories of people taking steroids and their eyes going or just a surgery going wrong. And it's like, it's like, man, like it's horrifying. And then, insurance and money and there's so much that goes into this. And then, like with your condition that constantly is acting up, like how long can you be on a plane? Can you do a 8-hour flight, Like,
exactly.
You're putting yourself at a lot of risk there and a lot of discomfort. And that it's like, man, you got to, this has to be. And then there's got to be some change, because you look at it and it's like we're the ones giving everything. You're doing the procedure, and it may take an hour at best, and we're giving you our time. We're giving you our bodies. We just want. I can't believe we've gotten so far, and it just still seems, like I said, it seems like there's just 20 good doctors of each profession, and you got to just find this little dot on the map of whatever country you're in or whatever part of the world you're in. It's like, hey, there's 3 neurologists in North America. Go there, and it's like, man, I'm legally blind. I don't drive. Like, okay, I'll get a flight, but it's like I said, I'm trying to get a major procedure for my eyes, and I'm trying to find a good specialist because I had one and he kind of turned me down, and so I'm trying just to salvage the vision I have left, and hopefully, maybe get me a little more vision before I get old and vision starts to go anyway.
And so you can have an operation, and there is the hope that there is hope that you could have a better vision?
There's some hope, yeah. Like I can see some,
Mm-hmm.
like I know what you look like and everything, but it's like my left eye is all colors and motion. My right eye, it's hard to explain, but like
Mm-hmm.
I live on my own. I take care of myself, and I do fine.
Yeah,
But it's like, yeah, I make the best of a probably shitty situation. Most people would wake up with no
yeah.
vision and be very depressed. But when I have a good
Mm-hmm.
eye day, which is a very bad eye day for most people, I'm happy.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I just don't like honestly, I've never asked for my vision back. I've always said I just want to salvage what I have. I want to keep what I have, don't lose any more. That's all I've ever asked for. I've
Yeah.
never ever prayed or said, please give me my vision back. I just said
Mm-hmm.
all I
Yeah,
want to do is salvage this. Now, if I got
yeah,
more, that's just a plus. So
yeah.
I'm that's a bonus for me. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still fighting for it. I'm still trying, I take time off work and I'm still making plans, and I'm planning on taking a trip in New York, I guess in June. I mean, that's kind of the update too. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't talked about
Mm-hmm.
it, but I'm gonna. Apparently, the best eye doctor is in New York, on Long Island in New York, in the United States, and I'm gonna go see what he can do for me. But
Mm-hmm.
it's it's one of these things. I'm trying not to be very pessimistic about it, but I've
Yeah,
run into
yeah,
so many, and I'm sure you have as well, and so many people have. But like I've run into so many walls, so many dead ends, that it's like I'm not saying that there's no one. I don't want to just completely turn it down, because I'm obviously going.
yes,
I need
yes,
this, but
yeah,
I also
yeah,
just like I also know, like, I don't want to be told no, because I don't want to feel like I'm at my ends with this, and
yes, yeah.
I
I
have to,
understand that.
and it's just, and I've said this a lot on here, like sometimes being a strong person, it has its drawbacks, because there's times it's like you don't know when to tone it down, because there are times I feel like
Yeah.
I need to cry, I need to show weakness, and maybe it's not
Mhm.
weakness is the proper term, but I there's this times where I'm just like, man, I've tried to be strong for myself, for other people, and try to be this advocate for others, and there's times where it's just like, man, I can't do it every day. Like
You just had enough.
some days
Yeah.
I let the pain consume me, the physical or emotional pain, where I just go, today's just not my day, and I need to just lay here
You
on
need
the
to curl
couch
up with
and
your cat.
exactly, Bullet, my kitty,
Yeah.
he's actually right here,
Yeah.
and some days, I mean, you have to, because it's just like, I at the same time though, like when I started posting on social media and stuff, I never get on and go, oh my god, woe is me, life sucks, it's over. I have my days where I may get on there and I'll cry, or I may have days where I show anger or just frustration, but I also show you days
Yeah.
that this isn't all bad either, because it's not.
Mhm.
It's not all
Mm.
bad. You can live with this. You can thrive. It's just
Yeah.
it's a different variation of thriving. It's a different definition of thriving.
Totally.
My life looks
Yeah.
different than yours, as yours looks different from mine.
Yeah.
And we can do it. And that's the whole purpose of why I do what I do, because I want people to understand, like, I'm not saying that legally blindness is fun. I'm not saying legally
Mm.
blindness is a death sentence.
Yeah.
There's a medium, and I will do what I can. I try to just smile, and I try to live my life and I have a decent, fulfillment of a life. But at the same
Yeah.
time, there are days where, you know what, I need to cry. And that's
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
antidepressants, so that's very hard to cry. But yeah,
Yeah.
you have your
Yeah.
days.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have my days. But I think if someone had shown me, like when this pain first started, if someone had shown me what I would be doing in 15 years, how I would be managing to live with this pain, I would have said, no way. There's no way I'm going to be able to do that. And you bet you just do. You adjust your whole life, and the people who you live with and love you adjust as well. It's harder for them to, like, I think it's hard for family to understand why I keep trying things instead of giving up.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like what you said, is I've got to have a little bit of hope that there's still something, it's just something that might just help me a little bit more.
Yeah.
I know I'm not going to ever get rid of this pain completely, but the more I can reduce it, then the better my life is.
And it's why I surround
and
myself
that's
with,
what I do.
yeah, it's why I surround myself with people like you, because it's like, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's moments where we can commiserate about our issues and whatever, like, oh, yeah, it sucks, right? But at the same time,
Yeah,
it's nice to just be around such strong people, and they keep you grounded because you're like, hey,
yeah,
at least your ears don't suck. And you're like, well, yeah, at least
yeah,
your eyes don't suck. And you just, and you have a dark sense of humor. You laugh it off.
yeah,
You get
yeah,
through it. And it helps when you don't feel so alone. It just, because
yeah, totally.
feeling
Yeah.
alone and being in emotional and physical pain is the worst because it just
Mm.
exacerbates it. And I used to say, I think I might even said, like, in the early days of the first year of doing this, like, I never envisioned myself living past 50 because I felt like the stress eventually would just kill me because
Mhm.
I just kind of, I just push through it and I just say, screw the stress. I'm just going to fight through it. And now these days I'm trying to figure out my brain fog. I'm trying to figure out the get to the nitty gritty of my depression and all that, and take the right
Yeah.
supplements. I'm trying my best, but I
Mhm.
always envisioned myself dying early because I never felt like this was sustainable. Because
Yeah.
I've dealt with too much anxiety and depression um, and just unhappiness, and so now that I'm in a place where I'm starting to like love who I am and be grateful for life, I feel
Mhm.
like there's a possibility that this could be a long term thing for me. It's just
Yeah.
it took me a while to get here because I had to
Yeah.
like life, I had to like me, and that's hard when you look at yourself and you hear the ridicule that has been beaten into my head as a child and all that, and so you have to
Mhm.
rewire yourself and you have to tell yourself that you have self worth,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's why we have
And that life is not all over.
yeah, and that's why we
Mm.
have to change some of the things that people say where it's like and I'm not a word person, I'm not really for censorship, but it's like when it comes to like crippled or disabled, these are
Mhm.
really negative. They have like really negative connotations where and you hear them, it's like, oh, I'm crippled, oh, I'm disabled, like, oh god, that doesn't even sound good, like that sounds like I'm broken, like I'm fucked up, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
man, like it's there are some very like there's so many people that have just like pepped me up and just brought some real beautiful emotions to me just based. I mean, there's people that are autistic and they just have something, and you just like their energy, it's like, my god, like I love you, like I just want to get like
Mhm.
it's a team that I bowled last week. They're all four of their players have some
Yeah.
sort of developmental like mental disability, but they're so
Mhm.
friendly, they're very lovable, they give you handshakes and hugs, and they're just great to be
Oh, lovely.
around, and they
Yeah.
make you enjoy the game more even when you're like sucking, like they make the game so much more fun, and it's like I
Oh,
love
that's
them, like they're
great.
fantastic,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. That's what you need, isn't it?
yeah, it's what you need, and that's
Yeah.
why I say I do this because
Mhm.
when I'm around, when I talk to people like you, it makes me like I don't pity you, but I also go like,
Mhm.
man, like I'm so happy that I don't have that kind of pain. As I'm sure you'd be like, hey, I'm
Mhm.
glad my eyes
Yeah.
work, like
Yeah.
it makes me
Exactly.
grateful for the things I have, and
Yeah.
I stress that a lot on here. I say it on almost every episode because it's like I am
Mhm.
grateful that these are things that everything, because I there's always was like a running joke when my doctor would go through all the things like, do you have diabetes? And it's like, well, no, that's one of the few things I don't have, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's great when I can actually go, man, I'm so grateful that my spine works, like I'm so grateful
Yeah.
that my whatever, my ears work, because they do. And
Yeah.
there are
Yeah.
people that don't have that, man, and I have plenty of friends in
Exactly.
wheelchairs, and I know plenty of
Mm.
people who are
Yeah.
deaf, and so I don't know, man. It's like as much
Mhm.
as maybe blindness isn't fun, I've found a way to master it as much as I can and enjoy it. And it's
Yeah.
it's a bumpy ride, but I'm here, and
Mm.
I'm not like suicidal. So
No.
I was at
And you're
one point.
doing.
So
Yeah. 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 I understand that, and sometimes I go through stages of that and think, especially when I have pain periods where the pain just is a bit unbearable, and I think, oh, I've just had enough.
yeah,
But no way, no
no,
way, I wouldn't. No.
And we all,
No.
I think if everyone's honest, when they go through something so traumatic like what we're going through, or and many other things, that ultimate solution, I mean, there is one way to make sure everything goes away.
Mm.
And that's why, I mean, I talk about mental health as much as I talk about just my condition or anything I've endured, because it's it's the backdrop of everything. And
Yeah.
you know, it's always there, that cloud. I don't think I'll ever 100%, even if my eyes got back to perfect, if I
Mhm.
had 20/20 vision, I still feel like I would have mental health. And
Mhm.
because I went through a bunch of other things, being bullied and molested and other things, so that doesn't go away. Even if I wipe, but I just don't think it matters. I'm always gonna have it, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
you know, but like I said, that feeling of when you're kind of entrenched in your mental filth and it's just choking
Mm.
you, it's like, oh,
Mm.
that realization comes over you. Where like, man, I wish I didn't wake up tonight. But you also don't
Mm. Yeah.
have the guts to end it yourself. So what you, in hindsight, what it really means is you really want to live. It's just, you just want the pain to stop, or you want
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
want the voices to stop. You want all that, but you really
Yeah.
don't want to end it because you won't do it
No.
yourself. But it's
Mm.
just, you go
Yeah.
through that where you
Yeah.
just
You
throw your
just want
hands
the
up.
pain to stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's sometimes it's just like, just stop it. Yeah. And then I think, you know, oh, maybe if I do this, I'll get less pain, and then if I do this, I'll get less pain, um, and that's why I don't give up on trying things, because, you know, if I don't know, maybe the day I stop trying new different things to improve my life, maybe I might be. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to get like that, though. I don't know, because it always seems to be something that can improve my way of life, even if it's just like going to the gym, or, you know, going to the beach, or spending time with friends. There's always something that can improve my day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I want to ask you this because, you know, and I'll preface it by just saying, because like for a long time I didn't have a lot of friends, and I was kind of
Mm.
ostracized, and that's kind of what a disability is. You feel so
Mm.
ostracized and
Yeah.
segregated from the rest of people, and then you have to kind of make a decision on, do you want to come out into the light? And are you going to put yourself at a position where you can be ridiculed and judged and made fun of and all that? And then, you know, for me, I started to become vocal, and I just got tired of being picked on, and I got tired of people, you know, underestimating me and whatnot. And so
Mhm.
now I have a good amount of friends, and you know, you know, I'm single, but I've dated and been with women and so on and so on. So what is with your condition, and everything? How has it affected, let's say, not just your love life, but just your
Mhm.
being able to communicate and just, you know, function and have a you know, a fulfillment in your life? And sorry, my brain fog
Yeah.
stuck in my ass, but yeah.
So, sometimes, like I have a few really good friends. Like, I actually went to school with them. I'm 60, so I've kept those friends for a long time, safe, close to my heart. And I would prefer to have just, you know, a handful of really close friends than have lots and lots of friends who are just really acquaintances and that sort of thing. Um, Sometimes I find that I don't have a lot to talk about, you know, like, because I'm a bit obsessed with my. I am obsessed. I'm not a bit. I am obsessed with doing things to make myself well. You know, like at the moment, it's the red light therapy lamp, and this home scrambler machine, and so they're the things I have to talk about, and they're not that interesting to everybody. So yeah, sometimes I feel like I don't have a lot to add to a conversation, because I don't have a, you know, I have a limited life, really. You know, like I have a family. My son and his wife live in Tasmania, and I have two gorgeous little grandsons who I'll be going down to see soon. and I love being with them the most. That's, like, I sometimes I can completely forget about how unwell I am because they just make me forget because it's so joyful being with them. But other than my family and a few friends, that's all I have, and that's okay. I have quite a lot of online friends now. I actually have a Facebook group with another friend who has pudendal neuralgia, and that's sort of been keeping me quite busy, and it's been really interesting because I'm an admin of this group, which means you get to see who wants to come into the group, and then they don't even answer the 3 questions. You think, oh, Jesus, how hard is that, man? And that's been like a whole new world, actually. And I'm quite active on the trigeminal neuralgia Australia-New Zealand group, just as much as offering support as requesting support. Like you can see that there are a number of core people who will often, new members come on and you welcome them and see where they're at, and like when you've been suffering with something for 15 years, you have quite a lot of information to share. And that's great. And I'm really enjoying that online aspect of my life now.
Good.
More than ever before.
Yeah,
it's good because I feel like I'm a little bit useful. I like to be useful. Like I was a teacher, and you feel really useful as a teacher. You're really doing something useful in society, and I found that really hard when I had to give up teaching because of my pain, that I just felt like I was useless. Like I had no use to help anybody. And, people talked about, going volunteering, and I just felt so unreliable because I never knew how I was going to be. And I hated, really, really hated, one of my pet hates is, saying I'm going to do something and then, saying, oh, sorry, I can't do it. And that happens all the time with my illness, but I really don't like letting people down. Like it's one thing to say to my friends, I can't make lunch. It's another thing to let down people who are relying on you for support or something like that. So
yeah, you feel like you're building a reputation for a person who's unreliable.
Yeah, and it's I don't know. It's one of those trigger things in me. I don't know what it is, but if I have to, and I felt that when I was leaving work, like I was trying to hang in there at work, and I cut 3 days off my job, and then I only had 2 days, and I was still not making it through a whole day. Like I'd just by lunchtime, I'd be just ready to just fall in the ground, and being that unreliable really, really caused me a lot of grief. It's not a nice. You don't. It's not nice to let people down, and you can't help it. But it's not a thing that I like doing.
But that's where I think, at the same time, I think that's where it challenges everybody who's in your life, and you start to figure out who are the ones that are worth keeping, because the real people who love you actually understand. Even if they don't fully understand, they just realize, okay, this is what you're capable of, this is your limitations, this is you, and it's not your fault. Like it's like I said, we all have things that just affect us negatively, and some are more obvious for people, but and I think that's why it's so great for people like you to speak up more, because you have a condition that is considered invisible,
Yes,
And
that's
how the
right.
hell are people going to understand something invisible unless people are vocal about it? So
Exactly. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
it's very important because in your
Yeah.
condition, and again, your condition is not as big as MS or
Yeah.
lupus
That's right.
fibromyalgia or some of these other ones.
Mhm.
So it's like
Mm.
the fact that you have a much rarer condition, the more advocates who will speak up about it, the more maybe doctors will treat it differently and consider it
Yeah.
when they're, uh, viewing a patient and they're like, oh, well, maybe you have this, and maybe they don't have to go to Austria.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And like sometimes I wonder about these categories, like you have a rare disease, um, like this pudendal neuralgia is supposed to be rare, and yet there are all these people on these pudendal neuralgia Facebook groups who are just in so much pain, and nobody can fix them or help them. And there's so many of them, and I think, well, how bloody rare is this? Like, it doesn't seem very rare when you get online and talk to people.
Yeah. But if you go,
Yeah,
but if you're going into a support group that is titled that, then it's gonna look like, oh my God, there's 400 people in this group. There's 400 people us, but like when you put that in the grand scheme of things, and you just looked at and how many people are in the world, or let's just say
world.
how
Yeah,
many people are in Australia, how many people in those
yeah,
groups are from Australia? Maybe two, if you're lucky.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
unless it says your condition plus Australia, like the location of it, but in general,
Yeah,
yeah, you're not going to find many in your area, and like I said, 400 plus, out, when you look at it out, you look at the world, and you go, 400, that's
mm,
not a lot,
no,
not a lot, but it
not
does
a
seem
lot.
like it
Yeah,
when you find so many people. But that again, that is also the one of the beneficiaries of having social media, where it's like you
yeah,
can find these little pockets of little genres of things that you didn't, but would never have existed without it.
yeah,
It's not like
yeah,
there would have been like newspapers and there's just little articles in the back and it says, hey, here's a support group, come here.
yeah.
There was none of that. So now you
No,
have ways to find people. I mean, look, you and I are talking from two places that are completely nowhere near each other. We are on the
yeah,
opposite sides of the earth. And
yeah,
but we're having a conversation with each other, and we just met, roughly a couple days ago, and
yes,
we're having an impactful conversation, and it's, who would have thought that 50 years ago.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
impossible. So I mean, there was at one point, I remember, there was a friend who wanted to talk to her girlfriend, and I would just give her like calling cards so she can talk to her friend in Palestine, and
Ah,
that was like how you do it. Now it's like you get on Facebook, it's free,
yeah,
you make a call,
yeah,
and boom, here we go, we're recording, we got a
yeah,
podcast going. It's
yeah. It's pretty
totally
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
totally
it's
different.
very cool. It's very cool.
And that's the good parts about the internet. And one of the good things,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
helps because, again, this is how you help people not feel alone. And the
Oh,
fact that
yeah,
you can
definitely.
you could type in your condition and a group will come up, and there are people in there like, oh, I know exactly how you feel, and this is it,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh my God, thank God, because I thought I was the only one. Now you may be the only one in Australia, I don't know, but you're not the only one in the world.
No, I've met two others, so I'm not
There
the
you
only
go.
one in Australia with pudendal neuralgia.
Perfect. I love
And one of them lived close to where I used to live. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe that.
it. Yeah. And
Yeah,
and again, that's what, that's why I was asking you about like friends and dating and all that, because it does make everything much harder when you feel judged and you don't feel like anybody understands. And you can have people around you, like your parents or your kids or whatever, and they understand, and to some degree
mm,
they care, but you still can feel alone. Like I've said many times, you could feel alone and you can be in a room full of 100 people. So
yeah, yeah,
when you know someone who's just like, I know exactly what you're going through, it feels so much better because you're like, oh yeah, and then you almost joke about it, like, oh my God, and that too, and you're, even though you're kind of saying awful things, like, oh yeah, oh my God, and my body's on fire too, wow.
yeah,
But it's like, thank God you exist. Thank God you're making me feel comfortable because I know when I wake up in the morning, I'm not the only one, because that is
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. That is very lonely. I went to a pain clinic for 2 weeks, and it was right at the beginning when I was not really prepared to acknowledge that I was going to live with this. And the pain clinic was absolutely shit. But I made this friend who's been my friend ever since, and her and I get together and just have the greatest laughs, and she knows exactly what I'm going through. Well, to an extent, she has different chronic pain, but like we are on in the same place, and sometimes we can talk about our pain issues for hours.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you can't do that with everybody because they will just be bored to death.
Right. No.
It's sometimes I say to her, I said, do you know how long we've been sitting here talking about our pain? About 3 hours. Yeah.
I've done it with people with eye problems, and it's almost like you just have these inside jokes, and you have these things that like only they would understand. Like they may say something and you're like, wow, only I or a handful of people would understand exactly what you're saying right now. It would be very foreign to most people, but I fully get what you're saying, and it's weird because you almost pep up and you start smiling, and it's like, but we're talking about something sad.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, but that's kind of, again, the fact, and that's why I said earlier, and I think I said it off air, off the recording, is that, I said you carry your condition very well because you're smiling. And I know you said you've been having some good days of late, but it's just, it's great that that's what's so beautiful about disability, is that, there's so many of us that are still struggling, but we're smiling and we're still fighting. And there are some days you grit your teeth and you're just like, oh my God, I can't take much more of this. And then there are days like, you know what, like I'm okay. Like this is fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm good. And you can have this dark sense of humor and joke it away and find little things in life to look forward to. And
that's right. Yeah.
And then boom, a month is going by. You're like, oh, okay, now I got the next thing. It's like you're like a monkey swinging from a branch, but the branches are these things that you're grasping onto just to keep alive. And you're just like, oh, I can't wait to listen to this new album. Oh, boom, I can't wait for this wedding. Boom, and you're just jumping and you're swinging from tree to tree, and it's like, oh, and all of a sudden you're, a year later, and it's like, oh, okay. I don't really want to die as much as I did before. Now I'm okay. I mean, I'm not ecstatic about life. I'm not like, oh my God, life is amazing. But it's like, it's pretty cool. I have moments, I have days where this is kind of fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's what it's all about.
Sure.
Finding those days,
Yeah. So we should probably wrap up here shortly.
Okay.
But like I said, I love your energy, and I think you're great. Now, hopefully you look more into doing more speakings and kind of putting yourself out there, because I think you can help a lot of people, not just with your condition, but also chronic pain as a whole, or women. Just in general, there's a lot you can do, and I think that's where you're at in life now, is you're trying to find the next thing to get you.
I am. Yeah.
Juices flowing.
Yeah. And I've been thinking about podcasting for a little bit of time, just sort of floating there. And I think, okay.
Well, you let me know any advice. I'll help you however I can.
Thank you. Thank you, Timothy. That's very kind of you. That's really great. Yeah. Because I have no idea. That's why I was all questioned. So what do you have? How do you do it?
Oh yeah, no. I offer this to most people who want it. But if you ever seriously, I hope we can keep in touch and be friends. And
yes, I would love to.
But I mean, if you're struggling in whatever, physically, mentally, you just want someone to talk to, just send me a text, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. And hopefully,
lovely. Thank you. Likewise.
Awesome. And just podcasts, stuff, whatever you need, or just in general, you're like, hey, I'm feeling low, just call me.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I'm very grateful you came on. You're a very sweet lady.
Thank you. I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. We'll wrap up here and don't hang up. But
Okay.
we're gonna get out of here, guys. And like I said, we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, y'all. So we are gonna get out of here. I am tired. It's weird recording these in other countries or with people in other countries because you just don't know how to prepare for it because our time zones are our times are so different. I mean, right now it's 11:38, and for her, she's like, it's like, what the hell is it? Over like 8 o'clock? It'd be like 8:30, in the morning or something like that. So, or no, it might even close. I don't know. I don't know what time it is. Alexa, what time is it in Australia? 2:39. She's saying Sydney. I don't. We're just gonna go with 2:39. So yeah, they're already in the afternoon. 2:39. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, look how far ahead they are. They're getting their day started, and I'm about to go to bed. But anyway, that's not a complaint. I'm just saying it's hard to prepare for these because you just don't really know like when you're gonna do it. Most likely, you're gonna be doing them at night. So I'm very sleepy. I'm gonna take my meds and just kind of get to bed. My brain fog is so foggy. Boleto, would you like to say hi before we go get out of here? Would you like to say hi, Chunka Chunks? Well, he's just like dead. He's just like, nope. Sorry, Pops. You may be able to hear a slight purr. He's so adorable. What a sweet little boy he is. So yeah, for those Bullet fans out there, I hope you got to hear a little bit of his purr. But yeah, I'm getting out of here, guys. I'm sleepy, but we will be back next week. Hopefully less foggy. But no matter what time I record these, they'll all come out the same time for you. And doesn't matter when you listen to them, you'll just be hearing my voice. Sorry about that. Anyway, guys, good night to you. Maybe good morning to you, wherever you are. But I'll see you next week, guys. Hope everything's good with you. Feel better if you're not. And I'm just running out of things to say. Just running out. My voice is even going. Can you hear me? Can you hear that voice? It's just dying. So before I completely lose it all, I will say goodbye.